Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Oh my gosh, you're gonna like today's distribution. You will see why in just a little bit. First of all, they usually have a hard time keeping up with SSL certificates. Second of all, they tend to have old packages. Oh, and then last but not least, it's freaking Manjaro. Have you heard of the company? Yeah, okay. So I bet you guys are going to like this one. If you guys wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit that comment, like, and subscribe. Just do a little, the YouTube magic and make it where more people can see our content. Because we want to make sure everybody gets the chance to see it so they can enjoy what Linux really, really, really is. And really get to love it just as much as we do here in the TLT family. Thank you guys. We're going to go ahead and move on to the video. Oh boy. First, we're going to start here on the website just to give a little bit of what might be different from back in the day when I got to use this so long ago. So, first we have quite a few more distribution options. So we have Plasma Desktop, which is what we're going to be taking a look at today. We have XFCE, we have GNOME, Budgie, Cinnamon. We have a few window manager or compositor options like i3, Sway. Then we have the Mate desktop. Why is this not with the other desktop environments? That's my first critique here. We have a Manjaro Docker container. That's cool. We'll go ahead and see. These three are official. These are just community-based ones. There are also ARM options. So let's say I refresh here. I should be able to show you. We have a pop-up here. They offer a few images for ARM. Their website looks pretty great. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to give them too much of a hardship for that. We're going to go ahead and move on and go to my boxes. We're going to go ahead and make a VM for this. And hit here. We'll grab Manjaro KDE. We'll give it a second to load in. I am super excited to get into this one because really I remember this distribution changing from being a pretty decent distribution to being absolutely horrible because they couldn't maintain it. So we're going to see how great this is in the year 2024. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give it 32 gigabytes of RAM. There's no way it could be the VM's fault then. We'll give it the storage limit, which is 100 gigabytes, because then it's not going to run out of space. We're going to go ahead and hit create. Okay. All right, let's get this full screen for you. And come on. It's loading. This is taking a solid second to boot. I hope everything is okay. All right, it's showing up the Tiano Core sign, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's exactly what we're looking for. And here we are. So we have the options of choosing between the open source drivers and the proprietary ones. I'm going to use open source because I'm on in a VM, right? And I want to use those drivers. But if you're on NVIDIA, use the proprietary ones because typically you're not going to like Nuvu. Nuvu is an open source standard or driver essentially, which will allow you to have the option of running on an NVIDIA card. But honestly, it kind of sucks because it doesn't typically have 3D acceleration. It's just missing a lot of features, which again, that's not the Nuvu's developer's fault. And that's just because NVIDIA didn't open source any of their drivers until like last year. So, all right, let's go ahead and keep moving on. It's taking a second to load. I really like this loading sign that they have, the 3 dots. Great job, Manjaro team. That already looks better. I remember when it was just a circle back in the day. Oh, wow. Okay. This is already looking promising just based on this. We will see if they can hit the par this time around. All right. Wow, this is taking a long time to boot up. I hate that, to be honest. Let's see. This might be one of my downsides for this. I have never had a VM take this long to boot. Ever. Unless you count whenever I used to run VMs on a dual core back in like junior high. Okay, come on. Why is this so long? Let's see. You probably notice I am on Plasma 6 on my host. I am testing it out on Arch. I made the switch back to Arch just as a note while we're waiting on this VM to get done. I have talked bad about Arch, but I got to give it a try again. And because there were some issues with Tumbleweed, and I'll let you know about that in the future. Here we go. Okay, Manjaro's loading up. I like this loading screen. Looking pretty great here. We're on again on Plasma. Let it go ahead and resize on its own. It installed the drivers for me by default, or it's either probably use Xrender actually. But all right, we'll go here. We have a few different options. So we have our README, which is our documentation for handling hardware and whatnot. Okay, they do allow you to use the AUR. Be careful, because some packages from Manjaro are different than the Arch packages, so keep that in mind. And then we have our forums option. Go ahead and click that. Let's see if it's a good solid forum. Okay, we'll go over to the forum. And okay, it actually looks pretty great. They've done a pretty good job on organizing this. Notices, important stuff. Just like kind of what the Arch guys do. We have the non-technical questions. We have ARM. We have Manjaro development. That's really important for those of us that like to watch it. Then we have the announcements, introduce yourself, support. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and actually click on this one because I really want to know what's going on. PAMAC is a GUI toolkit for whenever you're going to get install applications, which is really, really good. Honestly, I love that the Manjaro team does make this, but you can use it on regular Arch, which is what I typically recommend to people if they're going to use it. They do use Calamares, which is very typical. MHWD. This actually makes it where you can have automatic hardware detection. Super, super, super great. And I really love that tool. I just wish they would make it cross-compatible to Arch already. Dang it. Come on, bring it across the board. We would love, I mean love having that. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on from that. There's a community edition, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and close out of this. Getting involved. Let's see. Yep, just another page that loads up letting us know how. We'll go back. We'll go into the software manager, I'm assuming. Oh, nope. It's taking us to the website. This is really interesting. So this is all of the default software probably listed and whatnot. So, oh, wow. So is this just all of what they offer? That's a lot. I'm not going through all that right now. And now we're going to go on to the next thing. So we're going to go ahead and click exit. Mailing list, we'll see how hard it is. Because I know, like, let's say you're trying to get on the Linux kernel mailing list. It's a pain in the dang butt. If we go ahead and look here, we have different options. Like for the Manjaro repos, we'll just do Manjaro dev. Then you have this really well organized little page here. You just go here. You can go to different threads and whatnot. Okay, you can get more information. Oh, wow, they even make it pretty simple to put your information here for subscribing. Good job. I'm not going to lie, that's pretty dang good, and that's pretty dang great. So we're going to go ahead and move on. You can donate to the project if you really, really want to. Just go ahead if this is a good enough product. We'll see here in a minute. I just got to see and find out. Then we'll go ahead and hit launch installer. Let's see how long this takes to launch. That was not too long. That was great. So they're calling this Vulkan, haha, good Star Trek reference? Or are they talking about the Linux utility? I don't know. Well, I'm going to tell you it's a Star Trek reference. I love it. We're going to go ahead and hit next. We're going to hit America, Chicago. That's for me. Then we're going to go ahead and just use a generic keyboard layout. We're going to go ahead and hit swap to file because I prefer to use a file rather than a partition. We're going to go ahead and have different options. So I'm going to give a little bit of explanation of each of these. ext4 is just older. It's by default. It's just works for on basically everything. BetterFS is similar, just as better performant. F2FS is actually made for NAND flash memory, so keep that in mind. Don't try to use this on something that's not NAND or like on a hard disk. That's a really bad idea. If you're going to use a hard disk, just use XFS because that does actually give you an optimization for transferring from one disk to another. Alrighty, I'm just going to leave it at ext4 for this installation. We're going to go ahead and hit next, and I'm not going to bother about encrypting since this is just a VM. We'll go ahead and hit next. Let's go ahead and hit your full name, right? Sprungles, what I'm going to call myself. We're going to go ahead and put in a password that's 100%, definitely not 1234. And we're going to go ahead and hit login automatically. Don't do this on your personal system because that's just silly. You don't want people just walking up and getting into your system, right? Like, that's just asking for yourself to get into a bunch of trouble. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and use the same password for the administrator. Again, don't do that typically. I'm just in a VM and I want to make this quick and easy. So Yeah, because that would make it basically they get root permissions with the same password, which that's just dumb to do. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit next. It's giving us an option for the Office suite. They offer either doing none. For LibreOffice, everybody knows about this, but if you don't, it's just a free and open source alternative to like Microsoft Office. Works really well. It even has a theming option in there if you go in and enable it. It even offers compatibility to way more document types, even over Microsoft Office. Believe it or not, Microsoft Office doesn't actually support that many document types, even though they try to market it that they do. Next, we'll do free Office. This is very much a, let's say, clone of Microsoft Office that's on Linux. At least that's how I perceive it. It has a lot of the same features. It's designed in a very similar way. But if you want something like that, I recommend you just hit no Office Suite here and go install something called Only Office that has really, really good compatibility. It looks and functions almost identical to Microsoft Office. So we'll go ahead and hit next. All right, we're going to go ahead and make sure everything's being installed where it's supposed to. My EFI, right, to make it work on boot. Then my Manjaro partition. We'll go ahead and hit install. Oh, wow. Yep, it's warning me. It's basically saying, we're about to erase this disk so we can install. Yeah, we're going to do that, of course. So we'll go ahead and hit install. And now, let's see how long this takes. But in the meantime, while this is going, let's take a look at the live environment. So we'll go ahead and click down here. Okay, standard KDE Plasma, right? It has your Firefox, system settings, Dolphin. Okay, of course, it comes with KDE. Yeah, it seems to be a lot of the same software here as you normally typically see, but notice they have it by default BetterFS. That's kind of interesting since you can tell by having the BetterFS assistant here. We'll also notice add/remove software, which is something I already mentioned called PAMAC, which is super great. It's written in GTK if I remember right. So we'll go here. We'll see it's basically just a software store. It uses the repositories. It also uses the AUR if you give it that option. So if you go to preferences, you can go to check your parallel downloads. This is how many it downloads at the same time. So like, let's say I am downloading LibreOffice, right? I can download a bunch of different parts of LibreOffice all at the same time, making it a faster download. So I typically set this as high as I can because I am on a really solid internet connection. But if you are not, make sure this is lower, or honestly, you might be killing a lot of your bandwidth. So we're going to choose our mirrors. You typically want to change this away from the worldwide because if you use one that's closer to you, it's a faster download, right? Because it's physically going less of a distance. And typically the servers are about the same in terms of performance. It just really depends on where you're pulling from. So if we go ahead and go down here, we'll go ahead and go to the United States. That's where I'm at. And we'll go ahead and see how many of each. I don't really care about these. I don't typically do this bottom option. We'll go ahead and hit advanced. Check available disk space. Yeah, that's fine. Remove unrequired dependencies. This is if you just want to get rid of as much bloat as possible. Do that. Do not check for updates when installing. I don't typically recommend that. And then enable downgrade. Only do this if you know what you're doing. Because, yeah, you can break things if you're not careful. Third party, you can enable the AUR. If you're going to do this, make sure you know what you're downloading, guys, because frankly, if you're downloading random packages off of the AUR and you don't know what it is, you're asking yourself to be set up for failure, because there's a bunch of orphan packages is what they're called, which basically have access to absolutely nothing else, but they were originally a part of a dependency for a binary, but it's just not there anymore, and it just either was taken off or it's moved on to a newer version of the dependency. And they just had to have it for one time. So we'll go ahead and do that. You can also enable Flatpak, which again, Flatpak is a universal package format, which is phenomenal. I mean, it's wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I really love it. If you're going to do that though, make sure you remember to check in your repositories if you already have a local version and check which versioning is higher. Because typically, why would you want to use older software unless you're on something like Debian, right? We're on Manjaro right now. This is just a step right behind Arch in terms of newest of packages. So yeah, that's just kind of against what we're doing if you just want an old version. At that point, just go use Debian. All right, we'll go ahead and you can also offer to check for updates. We'll go ahead and hit exit. Now we're going to go ahead and just exit out of this. PAMAC is absolutely phenomenal. Like I've said before, it's really, really good. There's our alternatives to it, like Octopi, which we can take a look at in a different video down the line. And ooh, that's super good. But I prefer PAMAC. It functions a little bit easier and a little bit more new friendly. So we'll go ahead and see how much longer this is going to take. It's creating a init RAM file system. So this isn't going to take too much longer. This is getting closer to the end of the process. That's great. That's great. It's because you'll eventually learn which steps are go in what order typically, and you'll know generally how far you are. You won't even have to have a percentage here to tell you. It's just part of the experience of getting to know Linux, getting to learn how things are going, and I'm willing to bet you're really going to start enjoying it because you'll understand what's going on. This is not too scary. This is pretty simple going in. It's definitely something that it's different, but you're going to really enjoy it if you can get your mind wrapped around it. Let's see. It's configuring the hardware. Tweaking, as you notice, I went ahead and pulled up the terminal here. That basically so I can see what's going on. This is basically just a shell that's printed out. So we'll go ahead and see. It's using MHWD, which I mentioned before. It's basically a hardware support. So it manually or it automatically goes in and checks what type of hardware you have. And it goes ahead and installs drivers and stuff, I believe, if I remember right. Really good tool. Zero Linux used to actually have something like this back in the day. Had to take it out because there was some stuff with Manjaro. And they basically made it Manjaro specific. Come on, guys. Bring back Arch support, please. Okay, anyways, before I die from sadness from that, let's go ahead and go take a look at something else while this is doing this. So we'll go ahead and go down. We'll see if there's anything notable down here. So, okay, yep, standard stuff. They have Qt installed. That's pretty great. We'll go ahead and we have gparted, one of the better utilities. I'm surprised they're not using one of the K utilities for partitioning. That's kind of interesting. Let's see. But that's a good option if they're going to choose something that's GTK based. We're going to see time shift. That's for your backups, right? You don't ever just not have backups. That's silly. We have Yakwake with a drop down menu just like that. Super simple, but it'll go away when you're done with it, which is great. It makes it basically a temporary terminal. That's the way I think of it. Then we have here all of this. Kwrite is kind of like Kate. It's just a text editor. This is just a little bit more involved. It has a lot more options. So, and Kate is this, if you haven't seen it before. It just allows you to edit code or whatever it is you have in here. So we'll go ahead and see how much longer this takes. This has taken probably, about 5 to 10 minutes so far. This is not a super long installation. I remember back in the days, 10, 15 years ago, when we would seriously sit there for 30 to 45 minutes waiting for something to install on our machine. So this is nothing, guys. If you want to see that type of experience, go ahead and grab an Athlon machine or something comparable and try to install Linux or even Windows on it. It's not the best experience and it's honestly not fun. But Linux always installed faster on those machines because it's not as heavy, it's a lot more lightweight. And specifically, I did use Manjaro back in the day. So you'll go ahead and see here, we have all done. Manjaro Linux 23.1.3 Vulkan has been installed on your computer. Heck yeah, we're done. So we'll go ahead and move on. Since we're in the live environment, I want to go ahead and reboot. It's going to allow me to go ahead and get us into the actual system itself. What we were just experiencing is just basically a taste of what this is offering. So by getting into the actual system, we're going to see what Manjaro Linux really, really offers to the user. I'm super excited. Again, I haven't actually truly messed with Manjaro in a very long time, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong. I'm really, really afraid we're going to run into SSL certificate issues again, because I remember back in the day we had a lot of those issues, and I'm really hoping they just set up a server that would automatically maintain those. Please, please, please tell me you guys did that. Let's see. Okay, we are booting in. Remember, don't do like I did and have it automatically boot into your desktop for you. Go ahead, boot up, and make it where you have to put in your password. That's just security practices. I mean, that's just being safe. We'll go ahead and see how much longer this takes. Oh, wow. Is it frozen? I'm hoping not. That would be a sucky start. Okay. how much longer. Oh, there we are. It has the same type of starting and startup here. I need to go ahead and give it just a second to load everything. We already have updates out of the box. That is very, very unfortunate because with Arch, you're already up to date because you install from the repositories, right? You put everything in the right place. Here's the big thing I don't exactly love about Manjaro, to tell you the truth, and that has a lot to do with it's basically package based. So think of it like you're installing a giant image, kind of like what you do with Windows, and that's unfortunate because if it's going to be Arch based, why not go Arch all the way, right, guys? So we'll go ahead and run updates. We'll see how long those take. I'm going to go ahead and open up Terminal. I want to go ahead and see if they've done anything special. Oh, okay. They do have a bash or ZSH installed by default. That is pretty great. They're using a more modern shell, which is good. We're going to go ahead and do -S. Let's see. What was I doing? Oh, right. We're updating. So we'll do SYYU. We'll go ahead and put in our super secret password. That again is not 1234 for sure. We'll go ahead and hit Y. It's updating the Arch Linux keyring. So here's the thing. If this works, I'm going to be very happy. I remember it breaking a lot of the time back in the day when having to do this. So this is already a little bit concerning. It's already trying to make us replace Bash RC Manjaro with the Arch version of Bash's repo. I'm not going to do that. Let's see. Color picker with... Okay, I think that should be fine since we're still on Qt5. Same thing. We'll see. Bash and Bash RC Manjaro are in conflict. Okay, I guess we're going to remove the Bash RC variant. We're going to go ahead and update. It's updating just like Arch does. Yeah, they're going to be pulling from different mirrors. They're probably going to be pulling from different repositories. Because the big thing to note about Manjaro is that you're actually using different packages than Arch on a lot of the time, because they will hold things back and patch things manually as they have problems come up. So keep that in mind. So Manjaro and Arch are not the same thing. Manjaro is based on Arch, which is the reason I don't typically use Manjaro, because I like Arch for what it is. We're going to go ahead and wait for this to go ahead and install the packages. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and go down, see if they've applied any special type of theming. We can do this in the file manager. Okay, they've just done their typical green and white. I don't know if I love the fact they did white, because, well, it's white and it's blinding to the eyes. Yeah, please, guys. Manjaro team, can we not just ship it with a dark theme out of the box? That would be phenomenal and really appreciated. I don't know why more distributions aren't doing that these days. We'll go ahead and go into the settings, and we will go ahead and apply a dark theme so we don't hurt our eyes while trying to do this, because really, this is blinding to me. Ow. We'll just use the Breeze Dark if it's an option here, and we'll see how that goes. Assuming this is going to load, because this is being kind of laggy. I'm not sure if this is because it's a VM. I don't see why it would be that it's a VM, but because I'm definitely seeing some artifacting when I'm moving terminal windows around and whatnot. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit Breath Dark is what they're calling it. It seems like they have a spin of the breeze, basically. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Oh, that's so much better. So that's, thank you. That's phenomenal. That's great. Oh, they've even modified the system settings panel here. I'll go back and show you guys that here in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and let this do its thing. It's reloading the system manager configuration. It's updating everything, right? It's about to install. You know what? In the meantime, we'll go ahead and go back to settings, and I can show you what they've done separately in the settings. All right. If it'll let me click it. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, go to search. Go to settings. All right. Let's go back to settings. We'll go to hardware configuration. This is the MHWD tool I was talking about. It'll install all the stuff for you. You don't even have to know what you're doing. This is great for that. We have our kernel. It had a kernel manager out of the box. You know, here is something that's super dangerous that they did. They're offering our RC kernels by default. I think there should be some type of drop-down menu you have to go into to enable it where you can have that option. This reminds me almost of like mainline on Ubuntu. If you look here, we have the latest 6.7.4. Oh, that's bad because we realized recently there's actually a bug in Arch and in but if you do use BetterFS, it is still a bug. So what you'll need to do is don't use a 6.7 kernel for right now unless it's 6.7.6 or higher because, well, it breaks BetterFS if you're on BetterFS. That's a big no-no. So either use 6.6 or 6.8. I don't recommend using an RC kernel because that's not official yet, right? That's a release candidate. So I would roll back. Yeah, let's see what they're using. They're using 6.6 by default and using an LTS kernel. Good job, but this is a dangerous thing to have until they patch that issue. So we'll go ahead and move on to language packs. Okay, whatever. I mean, I guess this is cool. It allows you to have multi-language support, which is great. We're going to go ahead and move on and see if there's anything special in here. This just looks like the basic KDE settings. I'm not going to go into anything specific because it's probably all the same. We're going to go ahead and hit exit out of this. This is done updating. Something I would really like to say how much I appreciate is that they've actually included a shell. I'm assuming this is OMI-ZCH by default or something along those lines. And it makes it where your shell doesn't look so intimidating. It looks really nice. It looks gorgeous. I mean, let me look here. Like, it's just great. They've done a great job there. We're going to go ahead and go out of that. So we are up to date now. So that means we can get the true Manjaro experience. We're going to go ahead and just go here and make sure everything works. There's no bugs or anything like there is in Plasma 6 right now. We will see what version of Firefox they have installed because I'm wondering if they're holding that back or not, or if they are in 123 or not. We will see. We'll hit help. We'll hit about Firefox. They are on the latest version of Firefox. Good job, Manjaro team. I remember back in the day they would hold back a version for some reason. That was a little crazy. But we'll go ahead and go here. Oh, we want to go to Pamic, which is they have conveniently in the App Store or in the App Store in this little dock down here. We'll go ahead and see. Oh, 123.01 is out. Okay. That's just a revision. So we're fine. That's still pretty up to date. We'll go ahead and go and enable the AUR and whatnot, like I mentioned before. We'll go and put in a very secret password. We'll go ahead and go to advanced. We're good. Third party. Enable AUR support. Enable Flatpak support. Close that out. Go back. I'm going to go and close out. Go back into it. Let's see how much longer this takes, because this is kind of interesting that it's taking this long to open up. Wow, that took a really long time to open up. I've not had an application so open up that slow since Snap, which we know about that scandal. Wow. We'll go ahead and go to categories. We'll go to photo and video. We'll go ahead and go down. We'll see what's available here. Oh, for goodness sakes, this just needs to go away. That is so old. That is ancient. There is absolutely no reason to use the Adobe Flash Player in 2024. Gosh dang, guys. Don't even offer it in the repositories. Please. At least that's my personal opinion. That's just nuts. Then we'll go ahead and go here. We'll go ahead and hit music, productivity. You know, this is just like any other app store, whatever you're looking for. KDE Connect is great. This allows you to basically connect your phone to your computer, which is phenomenal. Makes it where you can text message, which it's a little bit different of an interface, but it's pretty great, honestly, overall. So we'll go ahead and hit utilities. Yeah, your standard stuff here. You have your development, standard here. Then we'll go ahead and exit out of this. As I mentioned before, we've already looked through most of this earlier. It's all right. It's all right. We'll go ahead and... Oh, this is interesting. I told it not to install Office Suite. I'm a little disappointed, and I feel a little bit, you know, how would I put this? Almost betrayed. I almost feel a little bit betrayed. I also feel like I was not listened to by my own installer. That's funny. Okay, that's a mistake, and truly, this is not the best option. Freaking use only Office. Come on, so much better. Then we'll go ahead and go down, I guess, and be upset. Just crazy that they did that. Wow, I didn't want them to do that. But here's what I was talking about instead earlier compared to the gparted thing. So we'll go ahead and use the KDE partition manager. It's kind of like gparted. It functions in a very similar way. So like it's essentially a copy of gparted. As far as I'm concerned, it functions almost identical. We'll go ahead and close that out. We'll go down. We'll go ahead and go to System. We'll go ahead and see what else is here. Key sysguard. Let's see what this is. Oh, it shows us the different processes and whatnot. That's pretty great. I kind of want to run htop on this, or top, one of the two. I'm going to go ahead and open up a terminal. We're going to run top. I'm going to go ahead and full screen this for you. Let's see if it'll let me full screen, that is. We'll go ahead and hit plus. And let's see. We have our total. We already know about this. Oh, damn. It's using 9 gig? No, it's 2 gig. Where'd the other RAM go? Oh, wow. They're using 7 as a buffer. That's interesting. Okay. They're using 512 meg as a swap. I mean, why doesn't matter? Ew. Okay. At that point, just don't use a swap. But you'll see everything else running here. I'm a little bit disappointed with this. This is kind of a lot to be using at a buffer. This is also a lot to be using in KDE Plasma. Plasma can run with 600 to 700 megabytes. So keep that in mind. It's kind of heavy. That's really unfortunate because I know most people who switch to Linux these days because it's lighter and it's more freedom respecting. And this is where we got to lead into a discussion about the company behind Manjaro Linux. So Manjaro Linux is actually backed by a company called Manjaro. Here's the thing. So they have been known to make some decisions that may not be fully accepting to the community, which that's all right. They're a company. They're allowed to do that. But so we'll go ahead and go check out what wallpapers are installed by default. I know some people don't care about this. I definitely do, because then, I don't got to go out to the internet and find my own. Call me lazy, but come on. It makes things so nice. All right. Oh, ooh, that looks great. That's a great wallpaper. I'm not going to lie. They did a great job on that. Some of these look familiar, and I've seen them before. Yeah, I think that was the only great one. This is a default KDE one. Yep. So we're each going to use this wallpaper for the rest of this. Okay, that's honestly Manjaro Linux. It's not too crazy. It's a lot of what you need. But again, if you're going to go ahead and use it, make sure you update right after you get installed. The thing I'm not going to recommend this for is I have a hard time trusting the company to do what they're supposed to because of past experiences. I'm not going to use it, but I honestly cannot tell you not to. This seems to be a decent enough distribution. Seems to be alright, and it's really hard to hate on it. So give Manjaro a go, and you got this, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the experience if you're wanting to use Arch, but you don't want quite the latest amount of packages. And the other big thing is, if you just need a distribution for between, let's say, something new like Ubuntu, Fedora, whatever, and between Arch, which is a little bit more in-depth and more involved. The thing is, I recommend, if you're going to do this, don't just stick it and play it safe. Go ahead and start playing with the different Arch aspects of Manjaro, like the AUR, right? So let's see if we actually have Yay or Paru or anything, or Tizen or any of those AUR helpers installed. I'm kind of wondering. So is Yay-S? No. Is Paru? No. Let's see. So if you're going to use an AUR helper, you have to install it by default. I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of a bonus and show you real quick. So if you go to Yay GitHub and you go to the JGUER Yay GitHub right here, if you scroll down and you go ahead and copy and paste this section right here. Note you will have to put a sudo in front of this. So I would recommend you actually open something like Kate, like I mentioned earlier. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go to Kate. We'll go ahead and hit new. Paste it in. Go here, add sudo. Select all. Copy, which is Control-C, Control-Shift-V into your terminal. Hit enter. You will then put in your password. And what this is going to do is this is going to give you access to the AUR, which is a universal repository for Arch, which is managed by the community and by a couple of volunteers that work with Arch. So the big thing is with an AUR helper, you will notice it's going to have to build. So if you have a very old, single core or dual core, it'll probably still work, but it's going to be pretty slow in terms of a build because I'm on a decent system, so it's going to go really fast. But at the same time, keep in mind, if you're going to use this, you don't want to use Manjaro on something really, really, really low end, because you saw how much memory usage this had earlier. That's quite a lot. So we'll see how long this takes to go ahead and install. It's no big deal. It's taking a little bit. It seems to froze up for a second. It's doing all right. It's processing. We'll go ahead and hit exit out of this. I'm not too worried about it. We're going to discard it. We'll go ahead and close out of Firefox. It's going to go ahead and finish building. All right. And then we'll go ahead and hit yes to install Yay. Yay is now installed. We are actually in the folder. We'll just go out of it. We'll hit Yay -S and then the name of the package, like let's say Brave, right? I know Brave. We're going to do Brave binary. That's something to note about this is a lot of the AUR packages you do build from source. But there are a few, which like the larger and more difficult things to build, like Brave or other browsers, for instance, they do offer binary variants. Go ahead and use those if you're gonna install those. So let's say I install Brave bin, which is the binary variant of Brave. We'll hit 1. On this is a Vim type key binding. You'll want to hit Q. That'll get out of that. That's something a lot of newer users don't know how to use. So I just wanted to let you know now, because it was very scary the first time I had to play with a bunch of random keys on my keyboard until I figured it out. And oh my gosh, that was a whole thing to go through. So we'll go ahead and hit yes to install. You will see here in just a second, it's not actually going to truly build. It's just going to download and install this. So that's where it's different on the binary version. So it's basically just extracting the tarball, which you'll see in a second, or the zip file here, or zip folder here in just a second in this instance. And it is now doing its thing. So I have to point out that if you're going to use this, you are more than welcome to go to the Arch Wiki for support. It does work for most of Manjaro. Something else to note, please, if you're going to go to forums, make sure you grab all the information you need before you ask questions. It is less prevalent that you're going to get made fun of or get hurt by people these days in the Arch community. But there's a big old but here. There are people still around from the old Arch days which still have that same mindset. So there may be some people you interact with that may not be so nice. And that's something to understand. So that's why you jump over to our Discord, which I'll have plugged below and down in the description. Or jump to any of the family of Discords that we're associated with, like the Linux Cast, Zanies, whatnot. We're all willing to answer questions and whatnot. So there's no problem there, and we always appreciate having you guys there. It makes things so much more interesting and so much more of an experience. So we'll go ahead and see that Brave did install. It even pinned itself. So we'll go ahead and go here. This is something else I wanted to mention in this video, because it can be annoying whenever you're first setting up Plasma. And that is, if you're going to use encryption, there's two different options. So this is not the safest thing to do, but it's the easiest thing to do. So I typically do the encrypted file. That's because I don't want to set up all the encryption stuff for KGPG. That's annoying to do for me. And I know when I use my computer, I don't want it to be annoying. So I'm going to do this. If you want to use KGPG, you can go on the internet, find out how, go read. And it's all there. So we'll go ahead and put in a password. And we'll hit OK. Now, every time you open up Brave, it's going to ask you for that password. And you'll just have to put it in. It's basically to protect you and keep other people who aren't supposed to be in this out. That's essentially what it's there for, from what I understand. So we'll go ahead and go here. It just functions like default. We can import just like anything else. We'll go here, we'll hit finish, and it functions just like Brave would on Windows or any other distribution. We'll go ahead and hit exit. That's the end of Manjaro, right? We're in here. Let's see if we can get NeoFetch for you. Let's see. And you can see the specs. So if you are going to go ahead and do this, just have fun with it, learn, enjoy it. So it's absolutely great. Honestly, I can't hate on this too much. It seems like they have their SSL certificates in check these days, which is great. Good job, Manjaro. It took you way too long to learn how to do that, but you did it and you got there. It's better to be late than not at all, honestly. So great job. It's a great phenomenal distribution, and I'm going to go ahead and roll on, and we're going to go ahead and exit out of this because I have to mention that we're going to have that talk between Arch and Manjaro. So we're just going to leave this here, and if you want to understand the differences between Manjaro and Arch, I'm more than happy to go through that with you. If you can jump down into our Discord, I'll be there, and just go ahead and ping me. I'm Sprungles. You're welcome to ping me, even though I'm an admin on there. It's absolutely great. So, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys wouldn't mind, if you go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe, do that thing, smash that button really hard, because we want to get as far out to the internet as we can, because we want to show people how great Linux is. We want to show them how much of a great experience this is, and we want to, last but not least, make sure we expand the TLT family. We love other Linux users for giving Linux a chance. Alright, thank you guys, and I hope to see you guys next time in the next video. Bye, guys.